welcome to another night of chess and psychology. I am Dorsa Derakhshani, surprisingly at the club instead of being at home hanging out with GMPC. I hope you guys are having a great week. I can't believe it's almost February. I know it's not, but I've been ordering my books for the beginning of semester, which starts next week, Thursday. So it's been a little messy just running around, but I still can't believe it. My winter break is almost over. But besides my winter break, the other fun thing that's been going on is the Tata Steel tournament. Well, sorry, Wijk tournament, which is the 83rd Tata Steel Masters. I'm quite glad that this is actually happening live and in person instead of most of the tournaments that we've been having and they've been online. I've played online tournaments, but I still prefer in person. I actually want to sit down. I want to squeeze my head. I want to be able to stare into my opponent's eyes. I like that environment. I want to be able to kind of read your mind. I want to be able to see and do the little mind tricks. I prefer that way more than just playing from behind a computer. But well, until there is actual vaccine that everybody has taken and this we've defeated this disease, it's online chess for me. Well, besides that, so there was few games in Tata Steel or Wijk that have been pretty amazing, and so one of them that I've heard so much about and I've looked into for a while and I really did enjoy was the game that Magnus played with Firouzja, well, with Alireza. And it's very interesting, especially because, first of all, I played in Wijk, not in this tournament, not in the super tournament, goddamn. I did play in the, there was the closed tournament event that I played in 2015. I absolutely loved it. I believe it was called the Cultural Village. I've shown a few of my games from there. I intend to show a little bit more of them too. And I really, it was such a great tournament because if I remember correctly, if you won the tournament, you would be invited to play in the B tournament. This is the Masters. The other one would be the B tournament, which is still super strong. And I did not win that tournament, but I had a lot of great experiences and a lot of great games. And anyways, so let's go ahead and get started with the game that Carlsen and Firouzja played. It's also a little funny because last week when I was showing I was teaching this class, I talked about how baby Magnus was playing in this tournament, like 2008, and I was kind of comparing him with Alireza a little, so seeing them actually clash and how it went down was extremely interesting for me. So just a second, let me close this part. Uh-oh. Nope, I don't want to close the Wi-Fi. I want to close the sound. There we go. So it was a very interesting game. Well, to be honest, I play bishop b4s here or b6 mainly. So it was very great to actually get the chance to, I used to play d5, but for some reason I remember I had a few horrible losses in d5 and I kind of switched my openings. And yes, I am also reading the chat, so that's why there will be a lot of head shifting because I have my chat right here. Yeah. All right, thank you. I see a lot of positive notes, a lot of great questions. Thank you. So there's a question about if I was analyzing Carlsen games in 2008. Yes, not just in 2008, but in this specific tournament in 2008. So feel free to go and check that lecture out. It was last week, Chess and Psychology. But for this week, let's just try and I have two games that I really do want to get through, so I might go a little faster on the opening, but I do enjoy this. It was such a great game. All right, so this is now somewhat of a normal Queen's Gambit. And there are some ideas with bishop e7, there's some ideas with b6. Ideally, sometime later, there could be either a c6 or something with like b6, d5. It's so many different possibilities. But one thing that's certain is bishop has to come out to e7. So for those of you who are not as comfortable playing in this opening because you don't play it as well. I don't play this as black, but I do know the general ideas. I gotta have my bishop out on e7, for example. I gotta be able to get this bishop out. I know I want to do short castle, so do the things that you know you want to do. Now, my first question for the audience: take. What do you think we should do? Should we take it back with pawn or knight? And I know this might sound like a weird question to those of you who know these, but if you don't know this opening, the answer might be a little challenging to you. So, wow, somebody watching from Tehran, awesome. Ooh, if I was analyzing games 13 years ago, I don't know where I would be today, but no, 13 years ago, I was a 10-year-old. Oh my God, I'm almost 23 years old. Just hit me. Years are flying by. Yeah, we should take with pawn. You guys are correct. However, in this game, I really decided to take with knight. The thing is, you could take it with the pawn, but this kind of gets into a weird Carlsen pawn structure, because now later on you're gonna do this c6 and you have to do this bishop f5. But the problem is that your knight is a little bit on the way. But at the same time, you could do like this knight f8 ideas. There's a lot of different ways to achieve this, but there are a lot of the times in this Carlsen pawn structure, and Carlsen pawn structure is these two pawns against these two pawns. This diagonal matters so much. So it's really important to try to take advantage of that. So black will want to do this, white will want to do this. And a lot of the times this knight on d7 is not the best choice. Sometimes it's good to have it on a6. I remember that one of the first games that I saw that was around this idea was with knight a6, the pawn was on c6, and then knight started jumping around, and I really did enjoy that. If I'm not mistaken, that was a Kasparov game, but this is like 10 years ago that I saw this, so my memory might be a little not as reliable, but generally this is a good idea. This is one of the common ideas to try to get out the knight to a6. So what does get, yeah, that is true. So however, in the game, Alireza decided to take with knight. Nothing wrong with that. Take, e4. Let's take over here. Now this is a different type of pawn structure. There is no more that Carlsen pawn structures. The center is somewhat mobile, and your bishop is probably going to come out from one of these two squares, right? So that's another thing to keep in mind. So in the game, black just castled, logical, bishop d3. Now, another question for you, the audience. What do you think black should do? We already discussed the possibility of getting this bishop out, so you have one choice that you could go for. But at the same time, piece activity, center, space, make sure you consider all of those fun ideas before you actually suggest a move. And I am monitoring the chat closely. All right. I like the idea. Yeah, I like the idea of c5. So yeah, exactly. This is like a Grunfeld, but without my bishop on g7. Yeah, c5 seems to be the most desirable one. So let's say you play your c5, and now the thing is, if you, well, white's never going to take that, because now all these pawn structures are so problematic for white, as well as now this knight is super active. No, you should never take that. White rightfully castled, black continued with take, and now finally our b6. So there is this small pawn majority over here that could be beneficial for black in the long run, in the endgame especially, when we're thinking about pass pawns. But right now we're not there, so we shouldn't start jumping ahead and thinking about endgame. But as we said, there is this pawn majority that black could try to use. So white to move, what do you think we should do as white? there are still few pieces that you should develop. To be honest, I like where your bishop is placed. Don't touch that bishop. But there are other things that could be improved. Rook e1 possible, but not necessarily that needed at the moment. Alright, queen e2 possible again, but I see a lot of different ideas like rook e1, queen a4, trying to pin the queen, trying to go queen e2, great, a4, finally somebody. A4 is great because it kind of wants to follow up with a move such as a5. Or even if you don't want to do a5, you are at least putting some strain on, sorry, a6, b5s. Oops, I apologize. So that's another idea that at least it's kind of putting white's putting a little bit of strain on black's pawn movements. And I do like that idea. So after a4, normal development. Now, quick question. Should we play a5 or should we just let it be? Should we just play some normal moves like just develop queen e2, rook e1? Keep in mind, if you play a5 on e6 exchange, you have a clear target to go after. But at the same time, then you also give your opponent a passed pawn. So kind of your choice. Which one do you think will benefit you more? Alright, I see some ideas going potentially e5. Alright, so far I don't see anybody rooting for a5. Interesting. Uh-oh, I apologize. It kind of jumped. My bad, my bad. Okay, whoops. Guess I can't be in two leeches accounts. Two positions at once, oops. Okay, yes, I do see some ideas that do support a5, and I like that. I think we should do this a5. A5 is great. Your whole idea with a4 was to play a5, so do it. After you do this a5, I see some ideas with queen b1 that could be interesting, but not just yet. The issue is that if you played this queen b1, I feel it's too early, and you also might allow your opponent to play a5, or simply maybe just knight f6. Now if you play a5, now I don't really have to keep my rook here, I can just activate my rook. Queen b1 could be interesting, but you still have to follow it up with a5, so let's just do a5 and then we can decide where to place the queen. Take, take. Now, do you want queen b1 or do you want rook e1 to defend this pawn? I think, to be honest, queen b1 does not really flow as well with me, just because there might be some rook b8s. There's rook b5, so I'm not that worried about it, but at the same time, I would prefer it not to be there. So, yeah, I feel like rook e1 might be the safer choice, because then I want to do queen to a1, and I want to battery my rook with my queen. So in the game, Alireza played rook d8. Now let's do the queen swing. And in the game, I was a little, just a little bit uncertain about this move. It makes sense, but Magnus played h3. It kind of makes sense because you don't want to deal with back rank checkmates, you don't want to deal with knight g4s, so it's such a great prophylaxis move. But at the same time, I was just thinking, if should you try and maybe still move the queen a little, try to bring the rook. There's still, I feel like there's so many ideas here, but they're all connected on the queen side. So it's a good idea to open a little something for your king in the king side. There was never a free pawn to eat, I wish. If you played rook a7, if you're referring to that, the problem is that now rook goes to a8, and even you have to do queen c5, and even after the queen exchange, this is not a free pawn. Just king can go to f8, rook c1, now he can eat over here. And no, this is not a free pawn. If you don't play rook c1, let's say what, like maybe king goes over here, rook goes to c8, you are going to have to drop one of these two. So it's not a free pawn. There's some confusion about the control of open c file. It is true, there is a small battle on the control of c file, but the main point is this guy. We want to be able to eat the free pawn, but we can't do that just yet. We have to prepare for it. So we play this h3 as a prophylaxis move, and then now we can try to go back to our focus of the c file. Now, this move also was a little interesting for me. What do you think here white should do? Black just made this interesting move to jump into the king side, putting more forces on my pawn. What do you think we should do? I don't know if any of you guys is like me, but I started carrying around my own tea because I like a specific set of teas, so it's a little weird when I go somewhere and they don't have it. So yeah, it's in US they're so much bigger on green tea and fruity tea. I want my tea black. I want it a little flavory, so like Earl Grey or English breakfast, but they usually don't have those. So weird. Anyways, I kind of like the idea with queen c1, but I don't think this endgame is that beneficial for us. We should only go to the endgame when we're completely sure that we're doing great. For example, if we could take with this rook and my pawn was not going to be e10, I could consider that. But keep in mind, when we go to the endgame, the passed pawn, a rook behind it, not maybe. I don't really want to. If this pawn didn't exist, yeah, we could go to the endgame. But also a little hint, this is one, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but that's the famous game that Magnus kind of gave Alireza a cute lesson in the middle game. So we don't really want to exchange the queens, just giving you a little hint. Alright, so rook e5 is the move. We don't want to play this e5 either, careful, we don't want to allow some activity for our opponents. Rook e5. We don't want to lose this pawn. We want to try and potentially say hi to your queen, potentially. So, in the game, knight went to d7, rook a5, knight f6. Now, you're faced with a question. Should I repeat? Should you repeat? You know that in the game, Carlsen didn't repeat, but that doesn't stop you from sharing your opinion on if you should repeat or not. So do you think you should repeat? I always repeat. I wish. That would make chess so much easier. You would just go in, repeat 3 moves. Nobody would ever win. Wow. Would I say this bishop is more powerful than this bishop? No, because my bishop is also attacking your pawn. Under right circumstances, maybe, but at the moment, no. These bishops, I don't find one stronger. Because they're both defenseless, they're both attacking a set of pawn. So yes. Oh, interesting. Nice. D5. Good job, you guys. It's like kind of like now or never type of deal, because if you played rook e5, then you would just have to, whoops, then you would just have to keep repeating, and you don't want to repeat. So d5, take, now e5, knight goes to e4. Now question, how should we deal with this knight? One thing is for sure, we should not take it, because I like my bishop. Your knight is good, but it's not that good. Also, if you take it, then you're attacking my knight, your pawn becomes stronger, you have e3, your rook opens, so I should not take it. So now that we know we don't want to take it, how else? This is a funny thing that I said as a joke a few months ago, and somehow the more games I see, the more I feel like, wow, well, is that a simple like rule that nobody ever told me? But as a joke, a few months ago, I said you should always, if you don't know what to do and if your position allows you, you should always centralize your queen. When I said it, I was joking, I admit that. But seriously, the more games I see, the more I find the situations that I can actually do this cool queen d4 stuff. So let's do it. Rook goes to c8. Also, I see, to be honest, again, in this position, this is good position for white, not because we have advantage, but because when we gave up a pawn, we still have a compensation. So if you give up a pawn and your position still shows complicated or 0.00 blah blah, if it doesn't give your opponent advantage when you sacrifice a pawn, that's a good position. You want that position. It means you have good compensation. So rook c8, and in this game we Magnus played rook a1. This was also a little cool / surprising to me, because this move allows for a5, which Alireza did, and now rook goes to b1. So this was such an interesting rook maneuver, because now when you move your bishop to c6, you are kind of blocking your rook, but bishop a6 is supposedly the better idea to try and get into this position. However, even with that, that would also, didn't finish my thought process. With this, again, there is a lot of different ways for black to fight. So it's not such a cut and dry position, but white has higher piece activity, better chances for 7th rank, some ideas with the pawn maybe, so it's still a huge fight. But my point being that bishop a6 would be a better choice for black. Now with bishop c6, what do you think we should do? So white to move, how can we try to make this game even more interesting? So Manish, we play this queen d4 for both reasons. We like queen d4 because we like it because it's multifunctional. It also centralizes, also pins, also stops this, so blockades, and that's one of the beauties with having a centralized queen. It has so many different things. I see an idea with e6. Why do you guys think e6 is a good idea? You would just give up a second pawn. Whoops. I do like this idea, but alright, I'm still seeing some suggestions on maybe rook moving to b6, rook moving to c1. They're all possible, but it's still not that great idea that you want to have. So tell me, why not e6? What don't we like about e6? All right. We don't want to trade these bishops. My opponent wants to trade these bishops. So let's take a look for e6. E6, he kind of got to take it, right? Because if you don't take it, now I might take it, or I might play e7. You should take it. Now, what does this e6 give us? All right. Square for the knight. There we go. You guys got it. Yeah, let's go. You got a square for the knight. That was the goal. Now, let's say you do the square for the knight and you might want to do some cool f6 ideas, maybe, to try and win this knight. Let's say the queen moves. Now what? Do you still do this f3? This is kind of funny. So I think it was at this point that the official commenter, I think it was Peter Liko, said that if white wasn't 2 pawns down, I would say he's completely winning. But the fun thing is that it's still fine. White's still doing great with being 2 pawns down. So what do you think we should do? Alright, I see the idea with if you play f3, there's knight g3, but that's not, that doesn't really, knight on g3 isn't really doing much, because, well, you could do this, attack the queen, and when the queen moves, this pawn is falling. So it doesn't really do much for black's position. If rook b8, there's this cool bishop g6 idea too. So what do we think? Is f3 still useful? Exquisite, that's quite interesting. I know chess books are useful, but it depends what type of chess books you read. I never really liked doing tactics from chess books. I liked doing actual readings like strategy or dynamic chess from chess books. Okay, so I see that you guys are warming up to this idea with f3. All right, let's go for f3. To be fair, taking over here is perfectly doable. This is again perfectly doable, but the problem is that when you actually exchange all of these material, now as white you're just hoping for a draw. It's funny, one of our viewers really does not like f3 because it weakens the squares. I kind of agree with that. Not exactly my first pick either, or my first thoughts, but f3 is awesome because when he moved the knight, now this knight was active, I kicked it away. Now I keep activating my own pieces. This is something that I've been talking about a lot in our digital classrooms, with just attack, 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 piece activity, piece activity. So piece activity, that Bob, the idea of you at least getting 1 pawn back after rook b6, that's kind of a good idea, yeah. But when you sacrifice these 2 pawns as a strategical sacrifice, you shouldn't want to actively try to get them back. That's kind of the little trade-off. You give them up, you don't know if you're ever going to get them back, but you get piece activity. So after rook b6, bishop goes away, queen e3. I am still reorganizing my pieces. So I have some ideas for your e6. Alright, I'm poking your e6, and now, should I take over here? Keep in mind the knight is still here, so maybe I could play like an h4 first, or should I take it right away? Yep, so let's take it. We take it. This position just looks scary. So if black survives, black has extra material, right? But it's so super dangerous. So let's say after bishop f7, what do you think we should do as white? If I came all the way here to just play like a normal move such as queen f5, then I probably am doing something wrong. To be fair, bishop f7 was a blunder. The best move was king h8. Queen comes, now give a check, and then bishop g6. And then you would go in this game, and this pawn is a mini monster. But it's okay. We still, white is not lost. There's still a perfect fight going on. But my point being that this would have given black the best chance. But black did not do this. He simply played bishop f7 and yeah, knight sack. There we go. Take, take, take. I want to give you simple checkmates. Black just played queen c7, but that just doesn't really make sense either. Black is a little busted. Check, 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 and finishing. Oh well, here actually Firouzja resigned, but I just want to finish it off. It feels too cute. Can I just go anywhere? Let's just go over here. Feels cuter. Because I get to mate you with the pawn. Yay. Yeah, this was a perfect game from Magnus. He sacrificed these two pawns, and then he sacrificed the rook, and then a knight. What else could you sacrifice? It was a great game. I really enjoyed it, so I hope you did too. If you have any questions from this game, let me know. If not, I'm gonna jump ahead to the next one. Yeah, I'm gonna give the viewers maybe 20-30 seconds for questions. If not, let's go. Okay. All right. Any questions? Let's go. No, I wish there was some opportunity for black to sacrifice too. Okay, so this is a game between Duda and Grandelius Nils. If I'm not mistaken, I might be gravely mistaken, but no, I'm mistaken. I was thinking Nils came to Iran once to play in the tournaments, but I think I'm mistaken. If anybody want to do a quick fact check, feel free to do that and let me know. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but I know Duda never came to Iran for a tournament. That much I know. Anyways. Okay, so I see still no questions. Yay, great. Let's go. It's still from the same tournament. I think this is just the second round of the event. So c4, I play e5 myself, but c5 is another, I mean, it's a perfect opening, nothing wrong with it. You play c5, you go. Yes, I agree. Duda's game should come with a warning label. I agree. That's actually a very interesting way to put it. So knight f3, knight c6, and we are as black just trying to get some of the center, get some of our pieces out. This, I like playing these ideas with fianchetto, but my problem is it always scares me when there is a knight d5. If I don't really want to give up that outpost. However, black knows what he's doing. No need to worry. Now I want to take a tiny pause and ask a little bit of questions from the audience. So just general ideas. What do you think is black's ideas? So where do you think black wants to play? Most likely there will be a f5 at some point, probably not just yet, There should be something in the queen side. Not entirely sure what just yet. I don't think center is going to do much, because if you're going to have the king side attack, we want the center to be stable. I agree. He probably does want something with f5 and b5s. What else? Now, what do you think white wants? Ah, Rahul, that's so sweet of you. I hope you enjoy the chess. Alright, so I see that. You guys are all pretty much agreeing on these ideas. Alright, white probably wants to move this knight to activate this monster's bishop. I like that. Probably there will be a knight d5 sooner or later. I agree with that too. What else? I think that's the kind of the main idea. So let's go for it. Black played rook b8. You guys are correct. We want to just try and push, right? All right, so knight d1, and not exactly knight d2 you expected, but the idea is kind of similar. White wants to try and potentially get this knight to e3, so we can start having a fun time on d5. So now white has this idea. So black logically plays bishop to e6, stopping some knight d5s. Not really stopping, but at least bringing more material to face it. Queen d7, knight c2, trying to go to e3. And now black to move. What do you think black should do? I agree, we should probably be able to kick this knight on d5, but the problem is it doesn't really work that well just yet. Ooh, king h8 for f5, maybe, but what is my queen doing here? Could this queen potentially be looking a little towards the queen side too? Sorry, king side too? Yeah, bishop h3, there we go. The ideas with b5 are all valid, but not just yet. Let's get rid of this bishop first. If I have to open up this side, I don't want you to have that ginormous bishop staring at my queen side. Queen d2, bam, boom. Now f5. f4 probably coming on, e4 probably coming on. Bunch of different ideas. So in the game, white Duda played b4. This was kind of an interesting opening because b4 is not exactly that desired for white to play, because apparently this move f4, but this is a novelty. Nobody has played this before. Again, to be completely clear, b4 is not such a hot move. It's not like everybody plays. It's not like Berlin. So it's perfectly fine to play b4 and do a novelty against it. So this f4. Okay, so now I like this f4 for different reasons, because, well, first of all, if you take, that kind of helps my pawn structure just a little bit. Second of all, no more knight e3s for you. And third of all, if I took it, you could take back, and you could take over here, and everything would start to just get exchanged, and I don't want to exchange that much. And if you keep exchanging pieces, you lose all the chances, not all, you lose a lot of the chances that could help you improve, activate your pieces, go kind of poke your opponent's king, torture him a little by pushing your pawns and using your activated pieces. So you don't want to lose all of your toys and tools and pieces, so let's not do that. So f4. Now, yeah, this is so far in the theory. There's some of the lines that not every line, not every opening that I play, but a lot of the openings that I play frequently, especially in Sicilian, there are theory up until move like 20, 25 that you have to know. But there are also a lot of the openings that I play, and I don't know the opening up that deep. I know probably about 15 moves in. And those are usually the openings that are so rarely being played with me. I don't get the chance to review them as often over the board, and I don't get to prepare against the opponent. But anyways, that's why I like 962. Yeah, chess 960 does kind of take that element away, but I am very good at preparing against my opponent, so I like that. I want to know who I play. I want to have time to prepare. All right, take. Yeah, exquisite, that is true. The more you get to play with people, the more lines there are for you to analyze after. That's great. Alright, so quick question. My opponent just played e4. Now I have three things to do with this pawn: take, push, or take. Does anybody want to do any of them? Okay, I see a lot of push and some don't push. Okay, I see some people are coming up on board with pushing. I like it. Let's push. If you could do like this little checkmates, why not? It kind of gives you that combination squares. So, king h1. White played knight. Sorry, king h1. White did that. White might have some ideas to want to defend this square with knight, right? So maybe we can try and get rid of this knight. How? Boom, knight d4. If you take it, perfect. Now no more knights to cover up your king. If you don't take it, as Duda didn't, Duda just took on e7, which makes perfect sense, because if you don't take it, I will take it. If you played something like knight to e3, the other problem is now I can just play bishop to h6. That doesn't help you either. So take, at least it misplaced the queen a little bit. Now this makes me think, maybe I could simply take this first and then do knight d4, but then again you could do bishop d4, or it's not as strong, I would assume. But again, this is perfectly doable too. I think this would also be a tiny improvement on knight d4 first, because I just don't like my queen getting misplaced. All right. Yeah, we can do a rook lift too. I like that idea. So white played knight e3. Two options. We have this idea with bishop h6, which I think is too early. We have the other option of just go back and you want to still keep up with the same idea. Which one do you think we should do? I agree. Let's be annoying. Let's play queen d7. Very well put, Yaroslav. Let's go. In the game Duda took, I take, attacking your knight. You move this poor guy, and this move was a little funny for me. Not laughing funny, just like, how did I not think about it funny? I'll give you guys maybe about 30 seconds. This is not like it's not like you have mate in 2 or 3. Don't think like that. It was just a funny idea that I didn't think about. So what do you guys think? Alright, so to be honest, it's funny. It's just so funny. Rook e8. The idea of rook lift was mentioned before, and then I remember I was thinking maybe g5 at some point, try to push that, but this can't come up, and then I was struggling to use this rook to actually get it to h5, and then I was like, why didn't I think about the other rook? So let's just bring the other rook. White plays rook g1. Now queen g4. No cute g4s for you today, my friend. But the problem with queen g4 is actually, this is also kind of funny. The problem is queen a5. Because now you're kind of going and starting to eat my pawns. And if I play rook e5, knight goes to f4, bishop h6, there's not much for white to worry about. Even if all these happens, still, I can just play like a rook g3. White is completely defending. And this actually reminds me of a game that I showed a few weeks ago when I played Ruth Padmini. That game I was also attacking, but my opponent, she took my attack way too seriously and she blundered, and I just won super easily. This is somewhat like that, because if your opponent just didn't take this attack so seriously, so if white was just like, yeah, I trust my defense with the rook, I'm fine, I'm gonna go eat your pawn, this would have been somewhat equal. Still, black has a certain attack, but the problem is queen g4 wasn't as accurate. Rook e5 just made more sense. Or b6 first. No more queen a5s. If you play g4, I'll just go over here. I will go to the other side. Anyways, I can understand why queen g4 is so tempting, though. No g4s for you. White fell into the trap, queen d1, and now black just has an easy game. Knight f4, and white, this is the last, kind of like last stand for white. What do you think black should do? Yeah, queen a5 is quite amazing, and it's quite beautiful, and it's so weird. Yeah, let's go. g5. Now, white played this h3. I move my queen. Again, if you move your knight, I'll just give you checkmate. So, white just took over here. And we could take it, but the problem is after take, white gets a little certain set of activity that we don't want to give him. So, nobody's rushing me. Let's just move my rook back first. Now you move your rook. Nobody's rushing me to eat this. I'll just keep on staring at it. Now that when you move the queen away, the knight is not pinned anymore. Boom, boom. I'll eat your pawn. This was the easiest way. So don't rush it just because there's free material. Doesn't mean you have to take it right away. Okay, so take over here, and this bishop is going to be pretty monstrous. So hopefully at some point. Alright, so let's save my king away. I'll poke your queen a little bit. And again, queen f4. I just want to go eat some pawns, man. So now, quick question. White played this c5. What do you think we should do? Should we take it over here? Should we take it over there? There are different ways, but... Hi, Imani, what's up? To be honest, I think both of them win. There's so few moves that don't win, as long as you're not giving free stuff to your opponent. Taking is great, and then I can just play queen e5. And that's actually what happened in the game too. To be honest, queen f2 is another quite interesting line. And then you could take over here, I'll take that back, and then I can just try to maybe come back with the queen. It's doable, nothing wrong with it. The thing is, we have one more bishop, so that makes my life so much easier. And this makes perfect sense. You are just attacking, you're just going after eating more pawns, you're still keeping your pieces all activated and all defended by each other. And whoa, no, where did my board go? Sorry. Now, black to move. What do you think is the last blow? Yeah, sorry guys, no GMP for you today. He will join us tomorrow. I think queen f3 is doable. There's so many things that are doable, but the problem with queen f3 is I don't want to give you this rook, this precious g7. So in order to do this queen f3, in order to make it doable, we do a rook e7. Now I want to play queen f3 in exchange while my rook is defending it. Yeah, I really did enjoy this game. It was the first game, the Magnus versus Alireza, it was just so, just boom, boom, bam, bam, sacrifices, punch that over there. And then this one, Duda and Nils, it was so chill. Like, it was so logical, and like Duda only made few mistakes that wouldn't really look that bad, but he still didn't really manage to save the game, even though there were few options. The opening kind of got to him from the middle game, from somewhere around, I want to say, when he played this b4, he didn't really stood that much of a chance. So it was a little rough opening / middle game for him, but yeah, unfortunately. So I hope that they will all have a perfect tournament going on. We can only have one winner, but I hope everybody enjoy their time in Wijk. I did enjoy my time there, and hopefully we will continue to see some awesome chess. We are gonna go take a quick 5-minute break, and we will be back for our insane or intense, all of those in endgame. It's gonna be intense and insane. So don't go anywhere. Go grab a coffee or something. Be back in about 5 minutes, and yeah, I hope to see you soon.